I now hand the conference over to Mr. Rajendra Gandhi, Promoter and Managing Director, Storecraft Limited. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Gandhi.
Hello and good afternoon to everyone. I hope you are all keeping safe and healthy during these times. I would like to thank the entire investor community for the tremendous support shown during our IPO in February 2021. It was a proud moment for all of us. Today on the call, I am joined by Mr. Rajiv Mehta, CEO, Mr. Shashidhar, CFO, and Devan Dhruva from Orient Capital, who are our investor relationship partners. We have uploaded our investor deck and results highlighted on the stock exchanges and the company's website. I hope everybody had an opportunity to go through the same. FY21 has been an extremely challenging year for all of us. It has been a year which truly tested the capabilities and competences of our company too. The year began with a nationwide lockdown due to COVID-19 and economically gradually opened up in the end of May 2020. A sharp recovery has been witnessed in the second half of the year. Despite the challenges faced during 2021, we have seen a record growth across our key financial parameters of revenue, EBITDA and PAT. Revenues grew by 28% to rupees 859 crores. EBITDA grew by 234% to 113 crores and PAT grew by a whopping 2,758% to 81 crores. The company has been able to generate operating cash flows of rupees 100 crores during FY21. Our company delivered record revenues and profitability on back of a strong volume growth, operational efficiencies, better product mix, and cost rationalization programs. Our kitchen solutions comprise of cookware and cooking appliances across our brands, and our home solutions comprise of various household utilities, including consumer lighting. It enables us to be a one-stop shop for kitchen and home solutions, and also offer products at different price points to meet diverse consumer requirements and aspirations. Our pressure cooker category has had a volume growth of 19%, and this contributes to 22% of our revenues. Our non-stick cookware category had a volume growth of 43%, and this contributes to 18.5% of our revenues. Our induction cooktop category had a volume growth of 21%, and which contributes 8.6% of our revenues. During the year, the company focused on own manufacturing and creating differential value-added products for our consumers. Our trading sales saw downward from 28% to 19%. In the sense, we increased our focus on manufacturing, and that gave a boost to our manufactured revenues. We have a constant focus on technology upgradation at our facilities, and we believe that it would enable us to achieve greater efficiencies in reducing time taken and for the cost of manufacturing our products from design to commercial production, and in our in-house testing and quality assurance processes, resulting in higher profit margins. Our endeavor is to keep adding new and innovative products to our portfolio, enhance our addressable market through strengthening the distribution network across domestic and international markets, and be a preferred brand for our consumers. We have a dedicated in-house R&D and have progressively increased our investment in R&D in the last few years. To further our effort in innovation, we also entered into tie-ups with foreign companies for technology enablement and know-how agreements. We are continually looking to improve our distribution network. We have a separate distribution network for each of our brands, Pigeon, Gilma, and Black & Decker. Further, there is a separate distribution network for our Pigeon LED products. We currently have 9 C&Fs, 651 distributors in the 27 states and 5 union territories of India, and 12 distributors for our products that are exported. The C&F agents and the distributors in turn connect with the dealer network comprising of about approximately 46,000 retail outlets. We have commercial arrangements with retail chains such as Metro Cash and Carry for sale of our Pigeon branded products from several of their retail outlets in India. Our Gilma brand products are sold through exclusive branded outlets owned and operated by our franchisees. There are 65 such stores spread across the 4 southern states in 28 cities across the south. Gilma stores are designed to be experience stores. We believe to have been able to leverage the distribution network of our Pigeon branded products and our brand recall value to enter new product segments and markets. We are continually scaling up our branding, promotional, and digital activities. Our widespread presence and scale of operations allow us to increase focus on branding and promotional activities such as increased advertising in print and social media, retail branding, product branding, and engagement and engaging in brand association to enhance our visibility. The digital platforms and the social media have enabled us to reach and engage with wider audience and customize product offerings. Going forward, the company plans to spend between 3 to 4% of our revenues on branding and marketing. We continuously work in improving our efficiencies. Our working capital cycle has improved from 37 days in March 2020 to 27 days as of March 2021. This was mostly due to the improvement in the collection cycle from our debtors. This has helped to improve the ROCE and ROE of the company. Return on capital employed is at 31.9% as on 31st March 2021, and return on equity is at 26.8% as on 31st March 2021. During the current financial year, the company has reduced its debt, which was at 323 crores. It has brought down 90 crores through the IPO proceeds, 48 crores from internal accruals, and 150 crores converted from CCDs to equity at the time of IPO. The company plans to be a zero-debt company in the near term. We have witnessed the second wave of COVID-19 infections, and this has again resulted in disruptions in our business as several states have announced restrictions. We are currently working at 50% of our capacity for the month of May, but we expect this to increase once state restrictions are lifted by progressively by majority of the state governments. With this, we now are open to the floor for any questions and answers.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, you may press star and one to ask a question. The first question is from the line of Kondenia from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks for the opportunity. I have three questions, sir. So the first one is, what is the RM cost inflation that we have seen to our basket, and what is the price hike that we have taken since, say, in the last 1 year or currently in FY22 as well?
Yeah, see, we are a company which works on cost plus model. So there is any change in our input cost, that is the material that goes into the manufacture of products, we on a quarterly basis correct our prices and then pass it on to the trade and the customer. So more or less it is all, of course, the various margins are for the various brands, but Pigeon is our the largest contributor to our revenue. And at the company level, our COGS is at about 65% and 35% is close to 35% is the contributing margin.
Sir, so can you help us, what is the price hike that you took effectively, and is there any impact that is left on your books from RM inflation, or have you passed on the total inflation down to your vendors?
Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to try to tell you. Anyway, if you want to know the number, see, we have passed on, we have taken a price hike in the month of February for this quarter, which eventually got corrected by March, and that is taking care of the cost increase. The price hike ranges between 5 to 8% on various categories of products that we operate in.
Understood, sir. So that takes care of. And sir, are you planning any further price hikes? Even we are seeing that inflation even in FY22 as well.
Yeah, this we are seeing a very dynamic situation in this quarter. We have seen price going up and also getting corrected. So I think we will definitely take an appropriate decision by the middle of June if there is a further price hike required to cover our to get to our desired margin. So I think the current price increase that we have taken is good enough for the current times, but there has been some more price increases in our input cost of input. As and when we are able to analyze, we'll definitely want to cover the cost increase and pass it on to the consumer. So generally, the price corrections happen once in a quarter. So the next correction will be in post the month of June.
Okay. Sir, my second question is on the cost front. We have seen a rise in employee costs and also in other expenses on a year-over-year basis as well. So are there any one-offs here? And also if you can help us understand what is the sustainable cost over here, and likewise if you can also guide on the EBITDA margins.
So currently we are at, for the overall as a company, we are able to operate at about 34-35% of gross margin and retain about 14% of EBITDA, with the remaining going towards our cost, which is in the range of 19 to 20%. This covers both our direct and indirect costs. But on a higher revenue, because majority of these costs are fixed in nature, but for inflation, the costs remain there. So inflationary costs will definitely, there'll be an increase in the cost. Otherwise, as the revenues go up, definitely there will be some improvement on the EBITDA margins.
So what is a how should we look at employee costs? What will be a sustainable quarterly run rate that we should look at? And also if you can help us understand likewise for other expenses.
Currently we are in the range of 9% for our manpower cost. And as I told you, while we definitely want to reward our the employees on a yearly basis, but we are also witnessing a higher growth rate than the increase that we accord to them. So it will be in the same range or a little lower, and in terms of percentage, it will be in the range of 9%.
Okay, understood. Sir, lastly, if you can help us understand provide the sales breakup between kitchen and home appliances, for FY21 and also for the 3 quarters, that is 4Q21, 4Q20, and 3Q21.
So we have been witnessing very high growth rates in the existing product category itself. If you see, we have grown by 19% on the pressure cooker category. We have grown by 18% on our cooktop category. We have grown by 21% in our induction cooktop category. We have seen a very high growth rate, and the demand is, we are also witnessing very high traction in the non-stick cookware. We have grown by 43% on the non-stick cookware category. LED, though, is a smaller segment for us. We have seen very high growth rate, as well as 136%.
Sir, my question is more on the... Sorry for interrupting, sir. My question, I wanted to understand what is the absolute sales number for modeling purposes. So it's more of a bookkeeping question that I'm asking, what is the absolute sales number for kitchen appliances and home appliances for FY21?
For us, it is actually 3 categories. We classify this into cookware, cooktop, and appliances. I can give you the number for all the three categories separately. Give me 1 minute. I'll just let you know.
Sure.
For the cooktop, cookware that comprise of the pressure cooker and the non-stick cookware, it is at about 380 crores. The cooktop comprises of the LPG gas stove and the induction cooktops, which is 175 crores.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest, we bracket it under the appliances, whether it is electrical or non-electrical.
Sir, this is for which time frame, sir? This is for full year?
FY21.
Sir, can you also provide the quarterly numbers, likewise?
Yeah. So, the first quarter was at 100 these two at the time. Yeah. 11. These two. Yeah, this is Dinesh. Yeah, no. Prabhu and yeah. So 109. 12 plus 9. 12 plus 9. About 20 crores is the first quarter. The second quarter is a larger quarter, is about 70 crores. 75 crores rather. and the third quarter for the pressure cooker and non-stick is 70 plus 30, 100 crores. The fourth quarter is 18 plus 45, 63 crores. These numbers are for the pressure cooker and non-stick cooker.
Okay. Understood. So I'll take the numbers from you offline. Maybe I'll bring some more numbers.
Yeah, I think we will send you a detailed quarterly, but it is also there on our website, but we'll send you a detailed breakup of the three categories that we operate.
Sure, sir. Sorry for repeating this question, sir. So what is the sustainable EBITDA margin guidance that we want to give? Earlier it was 14%.
I again guide you through this. We currently are operating at about 34-35% at the gross margin. And at your current revenue levels, we are able to, at about 19 to 20%, we are able to take care of all our costs. So while there will be some inflationary cost increase, but otherwise at this revenue number, we are able to generate the differential at about 14-15% as EBITDA. We also believe that as our revenue numbers go up, there will be an improvement in terms of the percentage of EBITDA.
Okay. Sir, what have you done to your A&P spends during the quarter? And also, I think you're working on your traveling and freight and forwarding expenses, which you want to maintain at 2.9% of sales. So where are we on that path now?
So for us, we account a fee, that is a promotional cost, we net it off from the revenue. So it does not reflect in our expenses, all promotional spend. But advertisement spend for the current year, we are planning anything between 3 to 4% of our revenue.
Understood, sir. And what about freight and forwarding, sir? Where are we on that?
Yeah, that is for the current year, that is FY22, we are planning to spend between 3 to 4% on the marketing spend.
So I was asking about the freight and forwarding expense. I mean, because you were working on the logistics spend to reduce the freight and forwarding to 2.9% of sales. I think that's a large conversation we had.
Talking about freight and we already have an improvement and on the overall in terms of percentage on freight and forwarding, and we believe we will sustain this or improve on this.
Thank you very much. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. I'll request you to come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. I request to all the participants, please restrict to 2 questions per participant. If time permits, please come back. Next question is from the line of Devansh from SIMPL. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, sir, and congratulations on a very good set of numbers. Sir, strategically, I wanted to understand, so currently in Pigeon we operate as a mass brand and our products are priced at significant discount to other players. So going forward, do we want to close some of the gap on the pricing front, or we want to, be at the same pricing range in our kitchen appliances products?
So the company operates with 3 brands, and Pigeon is targeted to be a high quality, right price brand, I can say. We would always want to protect this positioning for the Pigeon brand. We have Gilma and Black & Decker, which are at a different level for the consumer. But Pigeon brand, particularly, we are in a very special position, and we would want to protect this position.
Okay. And then within our product basket, there's 4 to 5 products. So is it any specific target product that we want to focus on, or largely we want to grow all the products in our basket?
So actually, we want to dominate the kitchen space and then get into home. And these 3 categories of products that we operate in, that is cooktop, the cookware, and the appliances. All these 3 are very basic needs of any kitchen that gets, either it's a new kitchen or existing one which gets, products get replaced. So we want to be there dominantly. So for us, we want to focus on all these 3 categories. Maybe sometimes some categories grow faster than the other, but currently it is not. The difference is not very large. The appliances category has a larger opportunity, but the pressure cooker and the cooktop, the non-stick cooker and the pressure cooker category is contributing to about 40%, and the gas cooktop category is contributing to about 20%. The remaining is appliances. We believe that as we move forward, maybe in the next few years, this will be at the same level. The contribution of revenue will be the same level.
Okay. Okay. And in case of our trade payables, are there any kind of acceptances there? Because the balance sheet is debt free, but still there is an interest cost of 3 crores. So just wanted to understand what is our arrangement there.
Yeah, see, the company has had debt, and we have just brought it down in the last quarter substantially, both with the IPO proceeds and with the internal accrual. Today, the company, as of 31st March, we had a debt. The serviceable debt is only 15 crores. But in the finance cost, we also have moved to various channel financing facilities for our customers. So while they would get the reasonable credit that they want, and we will get the money within the time, that we have moved to a faster collection cycle. So that will reflect in the finance cost. But it is not as high as what you are seeing in the last quarter, because we still had larger debt in that quarter. Most of it was actually came down in the later part of the quarter. So that's why that larger cost of finance is there.
Okay. Okay. And sir, in case of our e-commerce sales, we have very well capitalized on that. So if you can just throw some light on, what makes it really difficult for some other player to replicate it on the e-commerce channel. What is our strength there?
So it's a combination of several things, but I will give you some insight into that. See, first of all, the way the brand is positioned, the e-commerce evolved in the country. Initially, it was for the consumer was looking for value. More and more customers are looking for value. We fit there perfectly there, number one. Number two, we believed in this channel early. So we were the early movers, so we had that advantage. And over the time, what has happened is we have a range of products. So all those happy customers and those customers who are actually doing their research online, they will view at the number of ratings and the quality of ratings. So both in the number of ratings and the quality of ratings for our products is relatively very, very high. So this gives that higher confidence to the new consumer also. All these are contributing to giving us the position that we have on these e-commerce platforms.
Thank you, and sorry to interrupt you, Devansh. I'll request you to come back in the question queue. I request to all the participants, please restrict to 2 questions per participant. The next question is from the line of Deepak Poddar from Sapphire Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity. So just the one question that I had was on you mentioned that we are running at about 50% capacity utilization in the May month. So how does that impact our growth overall? So how do we see growth as we kind of look forward here?
Yeah, definitely there is an impact in the month of May. We are working at 50% and only catering to the e-commerce demand and the export demand. They will definitely impact the overall revenues and the overall numbers for the company for this quarter. But we believe that once things normalize, there could also be those channels which could not actually operate during this time. Some of it will come back. There will be definitely an impact in the numbers from what we would have otherwise without the lockdown plan.
Okay. So overall for the year growth, so how do we look at that? Like 15, 20% plus kind of growth, is that a possibility or looks distant because of this current situation?
I can also tell you that while we wish that we did not have a lockdown this year, we also have similar kind of situation in the last year, more particularly at the back end of the year. And so it is kind of a similar situation. I can also say that today the company is well equipped to handle both the lockdown, relatively better equipped to handle both lockdown situation and post-lockdown situations. So and the company and particularly the brand business has been growing in the range of 15 to 25% in the last 4 or 5 years. I can only tell you that we are at the higher end of the growth rate. So that's where we are.
Fair enough. And my second question relates to your margins. Now, you did mention that as the revenue goes up, the operating leverage will kick in, right? So how do you see that maybe 3-4 years down the line, the EBITDA margin potential from this current 14-15%? So what's the potential of that? 18-20% is what is the potential once this leverage kicks in, or yeah. So any comment on that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, the operating leverage has already kicked in, and we've been witnessing the benefits of this. And definitely, as the revenue number goes up, there will be an improvement on the EBITDA margin. We would want to protect our position, particularly for the Pigeon brand, and we are not going to push very hard on our gross margins on the realization front. But definitely, we believe in terms of percentage, the cost could come down a little bit. But when these two brands, Gilma and Black & Decker, start contributing more, obviously they are at a higher gross margin, so which will eventually result in better EBITDA margins. And definitely at that revenue number that you mentioned, definitely it will be much higher than the current level of, the EBITDA margin.
Understood. That's from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Yasmin Shah from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for the opportunity. I have two questions. One is if you could throw light in terms of what could be your market share across various categories where you're present. And my second question pertains to your distribution reach, So, which one, what's the distribution reach now in terms of, geographies or states, and how do you plan to take it ahead?
So it will be very difficult for you to give you a market share. We have not formally evaluated this, but I can only say that we are growing in all the categories, and in each of these categories, particularly the cooktop category and the cookware, that is the pressure cooker and the non-stick cookware, we are far ahead of the industry in terms of growth. On the distribution, I can say we have primarily 3 channels here in the domestic market: the e-commerce channel, the general trade, and the large format stores. We are there in all these channels here. We are more stronger in the south for the general trade, but for the e-commerce and the modern trade, we are evenly spread across the country. We work with all the chains of large format stores, and we are very strongly present in both the large platforms for e-commerce. So if we will see the skew in the general trade, we are about 55% in the south, and the rest of the country is contributing 45%. But with all the mix of all these 3 channels, we are 45% in the south and 55% in the rest. Currently, our export business is growing at a very high pace, and already it is contributing to close to 10% of our revenues.
So, how much would be the e-commerce in this percentage to sales, and what was it last year?
E-commerce is about 30% for us overall for the whole year.
30% of your, okay. So the company sales are from e-commerce for FY21.
Yes.
And my last clarification is on margin. So when you are saying 13% EBITDA, so that includes your ad spend.
From that?
You said the EBITDA margins are 13%, 13 or 14, right? You netted out the ad spend from that, right?
Obviously,
okay.
This is after all expenses, just before, of course, interest, depreciation.
Okay, thanks.
And taxes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manish Poddar from Nippon India AIF. Please go ahead. Manish Poddar, may I request you to unmute your line from your side and go ahead with your question?
Yeah, sorry, just one question. If you can help me with the tax rate for FY22 and 23. Thank you.
Can I take this question?
Yes. Basically, we have a brought forward loss in terms of where we stand today. Beginning of FY22, we are carrying around 40 crores of brought forward loss. And of course, we are now transitioning to the new regime where the tax rate will be 25.7%. Yes, we will be paying taxes in FY22, but after absorbing the carry forward loss, as what I just now mentioned. So that's where we stand.
So you said 45 crores roughly, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Ayush Agarwal from Mittal Analytics. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir, and congratulations on a great set of numbers. So just building on the e-commerce part, where do you think, the e-commerce part of this industry stands? Like, what would be a probable, I'm sure it's difficult to put a number, but where do you think the market size is today, and what rate do you think the industry is growing?
Yeah, for us as a company, as Rajiv was mentioning, already it contributes 30%. We still see a high growth in the e-commerce channels. While the company is also growing, but the growth rate of the e-commerce business seems to be higher than the overall business of the company. So we still believe that for a year or two, the growth rates on e-commerce will be higher. The size of generally overall as a category, I think it is about 10% of the business is coming from e-commerce for the industry overall.
But we are getting 30% of our share from e-commerce, which means that we have a much larger presence than other players.
Yes.
All right. Okay, that's it from my side. I'll come back in the queue. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Arun Kejriwal from Kejriwal Research. Please go ahead.
Gandhi sir, congratulations on an excellent set of numbers. Two questions. One is, you had some capex which was ongoing. So of that ongoing capex, what is it that we would see? What kind of capex would be on stream in the current year FY22?
Yeah, so thank you for getting onto this call, Kejriwalji. As you are aware that you have visited Stockcraft, so you know what is the kind of development that we had envisaged then. So this is ongoing, and between the 3 years, I can say that is the last year, the year that FY21, FY22, and FY23. All these 3 years put together, it will be in the range of 100 crores.
This would be the capex.
Until you capitalize it, it is an ongoing thing. So that's why I'm giving you an average of these 3 years.
So this will be 100 crores per year, correct?
No, I'm sorry. It misunderstood me. When you sum the 3 years together,
okay. Okay.
So
and how
will be in the range of between 30 and 35 crores average.
Okay.
And here and there.
Okay. And how much do we see getting on stream in the current year, sir, FY22?
So I can say it will be almost evenly spread between these 3 years. So
okay.
Take here and there 5 crores. It cannot be controlled to that extent, but it will be in the range.
And sir, our asset turn would be typically what? 3.5, 4:1, or what?
Currently it is. Shashi, we have this number for the asset turn. Can you please explain?
Right. So our asset turn in terms of what happened in FY21, we turned out our assets, net assets, so to say.
Sir, your voice is coming a little muffled.
Yeah, so are you able to hear me now?
It's still the same.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the asset turn for FY21 was 3.94 to be precise.
Okay. So this would be the same even for the new capex that comes on, correct?
Yeah, there is an incremental revenue, so more or less it will be in the same way.
Right. Sir, second question, you mentioned during questions asked by other friends that 30% of your top line has come from e-commerce and about 20% from exports. Is this normal for you, or this is more because of the pandemic that is going on, that e-commerce has been much higher?
Normally, for the last year, it was 30% was from e-commerce and 10% was from export.
Okay.
Currently, the overall, for the month of May, I can say 90% of the revenue is coming from these two channels because the revenue is also truncated.
Okay. But I'm sure this would get back to normalcy once the lockdown is lifted.
We are very confident it will happen. We also hope normalcy comes soon.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Mr. Gandhi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Deepak Lalwani from Unifi Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. So my question is on your export business, which we do for a retailer in the US. You mentioned that, the contribution is about 10% to your revenues currently. Can you share the outlook there on the order book size that we have from the retailer?
Yeah, so we have almost 1.7x of the order book of last year. And while the company also grows, so we believe that the export contribution as a percentage will also go up a little this year.
Okay, so 1.7x, can you please quantify that number, sir?
So these are from various customers, and anyway, last year we closed at about 80 crores, and we have close to 135 crores of orders.
Got it, sir. Thank you. That's just from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Harish from BNP Paribas. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Can you help us with, what kind of margin we make in export business? Would you like to comment?
For our export business, we don't have other costs like freight, outward freight, or marketing and the sales. It's a very, very minuscule cost. So at EBITDA margin, we make similar margins that we do for our brand business.
Okay. And sir, one more thing I would like to ask in general. Sir, there was an article in newspaper day before yesterday in, I think, Business Line that PM Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, they are going to distribute some 1 lakh this LPG cylinder and they are going to start from next month by June. So how much of that are we going to patch up from that? Nearly about 1 crore cylinder the government is going to distribute. Would it be fair to assume that we could gain some 30% out of that? Maybe in pressure cooker category?
As a strategy, last 5-6 years, we've been tapering up this business. And as a policy this year, we almost have come out of this. You rightly said that there is a requirement and a demand from this Ujjwala business. But as a policy of the company, we have come out of this co-branding business. And none of this business will be reflecting in our revenues this year.
Okay, sir. That is helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kunal Shah from Carnelian. Please go ahead.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, so congratulations, Gandhiji and Rajiv, for a good set of numbers in the first place, and hope you all guys are going good and safe. My question is more from the long-term strategy when it comes to the distribution. So how do you see general trade other than non-South growing for us, and how do you see the company, shaping up in next 2-3 years when it comes to there? Because largely I understand the e-commerce strategy and the export strategy. So that was the first part of the question. And the second part of the question was, what kind of new SKUs or new product lines we are thinking of introducing or we have introduced, because we are doing capex and we've got very strong manufacturing base. So there will be obviously ancillary lines of products opening to us. So what are your thoughts on these two questions?
Yeah, first of all, on the distribution side, I would want to emphasize here that more focus is there on expanding our distribution network in markets where we are still growing, and that you will see that there is going to be a larger growth in terms of percentage from these markets, more particularly in the general trade from all these three, East, West, and North. our endeavor is definitely over a period of time we will be equally present even in the general trade across the country. But definitely it is not going to be anytime very soon, because there is a very strong base already there in the south. While we are not defocusing from the south, but our we are going to put additional effort to build our network in these markets. On the product side, we want to say that we have those capabilities that are required to make any of these products that are used in the kitchen and home. So when I say the capabilities, they are whether to form metals or in plastics, or when it comes to electronics, all these capabilities are in-house, whether to make motors or PCBs or all this. So with those capabilities and the products that are lined up, I can say our focus is only to be there within these those requirements for the kitchen and home. The R&D is continuously working both in the categories that we already operate. There are also some innovations that are lined up. It will be extremely difficult for me to share with you exactly what are those products, but I can tell you we have a very strong lineup, and both for this current year and also for the quarters ahead of this. Every product development goes through a timeline, and some products get to market very fast, and some products will take longer because of the nature of those developments. I can say that there are some exciting times in the kitchen and home space from Stovekraft.
Okay, fair enough. So just on the first part of the question, if you could throw a little bit more light. I mean, you did allude that there will be a larger growth focus on general trade East, West, North. If you could just help understand how much each of this would be contributing and what kind of actions you are taking on ground. You are having more sales guys, more distribution. So little detail would kind of help. How should one look at 2-3 years down the line? If I want to say that.
So if you, thanks Kunal for the question. If you look at last year, despite having only 10 months, general trade bounced back and closed at the same numbers. So technically on a year-to-year basis, like-to-like, general trade has grown. We have seen that in the last 2 quarters, general trade has seen a significant growth, and that is largely driven by the opening of the markets and the demand that is coming from across the country. If you look at South, of course, we will focus on growing quality distribution. In West, North and East, because the base is small, there is a huge scope in increasing numeric distribution, which is by increasing the number of distributors. And to each distributor, we typically map 100 to 120 outlets, which are serviced by a sales executive. So by doing that, we are very confident of growing the share of the number of retailers in West, North and East. Of the 33,000 retailers that Pigeon has, 12,000 come from West, and that number will grow by 20%. And North and East will have another 4,000 to 5,000 both put together. So both North and East will practically add another 1,000, 1,500 retailers this year. That is the target. And given that the contribution will start coming, like Mr. Gandhi said, 55% comes from South. We are aiming to go closer to 50% South and 50% rest of the country in this year, and then slowly start scaling up the rest of in the future. The rest of it more towards 60%. We also monitor this using BizOm, which is our technology. So we are able to monitor each and every outlet and each and every sales executive. This will come with increased revenue both from like-to-like as well as new distributors being added.
Okay. Fair enough. Just one question on the advertisement spends. So we get a large portion of revenue from e-commerce and exports, which in my understanding relatively would require less kind of advertisement expense. And correct me if I'm wrong, right? So how, where are we spending this 3-4% of advertisement expenditure, right? And how do we see or monitor the traction of the same, as to increase in revenues, right? So If you could share a little bit on your A&P strategy and how do you guys track it translating into revenue growth, that would be helpful.
Talking about the marketing spend. So the marketing spend has taken a backseat only during this month of May. And we believe that near to normal situation very soon will come in. And obviously, we will want to be at the forefront of reaching out to our customers. So it will not impact hugely for the overall annual spend. But we continue to be on the digital side. We continue to be very active even during this time. But on the print media and those other activities that we do, more catering, more to realize those outcome from the general trade has taken a backseat only in the month of May. But then there is a larger season. Both for us is also the business is also driven by the various festivals that India celebrates. It starts with the Onam in Kerala and goes up to the end of the New Year. That is between Diwali, Dussehra, and then there's a New Year kind of celebration. So there is actually, even if you see historically, our business is skewed between the first and the last quarter generally contributes about 40% and 60% of the revenue comes from the second and third quarter. So, and also generally the majority of the marketing spend also happens during these two quarters. So I don't think there is going to be a substantial change in the marketing spend with what we are planning to do between 3 to 4% of our revenue. And the second was you wanted to know the inventory, right?
No, A&P spend. What you said.
On the promotion spend, actually, it does not reflect in our numbers directly because all the promotion spend we net it off from our revenues.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. I'll request you to come back in the question queue. The next question is from the line of Varship Shah from Habrock Capital Management. Please go ahead.
Could you just to understand going to your presentation, what are these trading sales? Could you just throw some light on that? Existing trading sales.
So in the past, while we introduce new products, the strategy is to first build scale and then get into manufacturing. And of course, once there is scale, once you get into manufacturing, your cost comes down. And obviously, then we would want to go backward integrated so that we won't be manufacture the entire product. During the particularly last year, we felt this has to be hastened fast, and so we wanted to lessen our reliance on imports from China. So majorly, some of the products we have already completely indigenized, like the chopper, kettle, and induction cooktop. And so the traded revenue obviously is coming down, and it is getting into the manufactured revenue. We are also seeing an advantage when we do this. Our costs are coming down. The substantial portion of the cost reduction we pass it on to the consumer. And when we pass it on to the consumer, we are also seeing higher growth rate there. And as and when we see higher growth rate, then we also backward integrate. Both these processes are resulting in better margin for us and definitely higher value for the consumer.
So these are basically this is basically like outsourced manufacturing where you used to buy and as the portion is coming down.
Yeah. So what we were importing, we are now making in-house. This is what exactly is.
Okay.
Reduction.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pankaj Bobade, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for taking my question. Congrats on a very good set of numbers. So, in an answer to earlier question, you mentioned that you will be protecting the brand Pigeon. And do I read that in future, if we have to grow on this brand, it would be at the cost of we would look at increasing the volumes, maybe at the cost of price?
Is it that you are asking that we will be reducing our margins? Is this the question?
Yeah.
No. So the growth is driven by both innovation and the expansion in our distribution. and it is not driven by any cost reduction. Our cost reduction is a different activity. As I mentioned to you, more and more of our traded category of products we are moving to manufacturing. As we move to manufacturing, our cost comes down. We pass on the majority of this cost. It is not driven by reducing our margin.
So how much of our production, our sales are in-house manufactured?
How much of our sales are? Can you repeat that question, please?
How much of the sales are in-house manufactured?
Yeah, today we have already reached a level of 81% is manufactured revenue and 19% is our traded. So while we will continuously work on reducing this 19%, but it does not mean that it will go down in that. We want to try out with the traded, trading them initially. Once there is a scale enough to get into manufacturing, we get into manufacturing. But you can see this continuously, even at a larger revenue, this in terms of percentage coming down.
Okay, my second question is, this is the first time for this year we have reported double-digit margins. So how confident are we that this we would be able to repeat going forward? And what are the steps we are taking for the same? What gives us a confidence?
So this is based on our business that we do, the various brands that we work and the channels that we work and the margins. And we are a purely cost-plus company. And while the gross margin levels will remain at where they are, we only believe that as the revenue goes up, the fixed cost remains. So in absolute percentage terms, we also believe that as the numbers on the top line grow, the EBITDA percentage will also grow.
Okay, thank you. If I may ask, fill in one more. Since we are sourcing around 10% of our sales from exports, especially to US, do we see any traction in our with this China Plus One scheme, which is gaining ground in other sectors too?
So if your question is there a movement from sourcing from China to India? Yes, there is a huge surge. More and more of these retailers actually want to look at alternatives to India. We are a proven supplier, and of course we are not able to add new customers because we are already kind of full with the orders. So for this current year we are already there, but there is a huge opportunity out there for the Indian exporters.
Sure, sir. Thank you, and good luck for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bhavik Mehta from Roots Ventures. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So my first question is around the pressure cooker and other appliances form around 50% of your revenue. So wanted to understand that.
Okay, but you are losing your audio very badly. Can you come in a better reception area, please?
Yeah. So is it better?
Little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So my first question is that pressure cooker and other appliances form around 50% of revenue. So the contribution to EBITDA would be the same.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's still very bad.
Yeah. Is it better, sorry?
No, it's still the same.
Okay. I'll try to make my question. My question is 50% of revenues from pressure cooker and other appliances.
So sorry to interrupt you. So may I request you to come back in the question queue? Thank you. We move to the next participant. The next question is from the line of Rahul Ranade from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Just was wondering if you could kind of break up our growth for the full year in terms of how much would be from the extra distribution-led outlets that you would have added, and something, in the lines of same-store sales growth. Just trying to understand, the whole category obviously would have got a tailwind from people staying at home. So how would that have played out for you in that case?
You want to know channel mix, or you want to know about the product mix?
No, say so for our top line growth of say around 28% for the full year, I believe we would have added something like a 10,000 odd outlets for the full year, right, in terms of distribution?
Yeah.
So what would they be contributing right now to top line is what I was trying to understand.
Yeah. So first of all, let me explain to you. We have grown on the various channels. So that will only the number of outlets growth and the growth from that will only come will only reflect in the general trade.
Right.
But the general trade we could maintain the number because almost 2 months of the year we were not there. Almost April and May, though we started operations in May, most of those stores were still limping back, and so the actual revenue started from June. So in spite of the loss of these 2 months, we were able to remain there. And the bigger growth, of course, has come because of our expansion in the number of stores. And I can say, while I would not be able to give you exact number, but we will share it with you, to give you a number which has come out of our number of stores expansion and from our existing store retailers, because we can actually get this data from our software that Bizom can give us. I do not have it readily. And the bigger growth has, of course, come from these two. We have grown both substantially. The growth rate is higher than our company's growth rate in e-commerce, and is also the higher growth rate is also in the export business.
Sure. And sorry, I missed out on Rajiv's comment on the store additions for this year. So what I caught was we have 12,000 retailers in the West, where we would be growing somewhere in the range of 20%. So that would be around 2,500 odd outlets in the West. And North and East put together, what are we targeting?
Yes, one. What is that? He's asking about number of stores from East, West, and North.
So if you look at currently the number of retailers that are present in the West are close to 12,000.
Right.
Number of retailers present in the North and East are close to 2,500-3,000 each. That brings the total to about 17,000, and the rest 15,000 are present in the South.
What is the expansion?
Expansion in the West we will add another 3,000, and in North and East we will add another 2,000 both. So 5,000 will be added in North, West, and East.
Okay. Understood. 5,000 in North, West, and East, and yes, got it.
Thank you very much. A request to all the participants, please restrict to one question per participant. If time permits, please come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. The next question is from the line of Bhavik Mehta from Roots Ventures. Please go ahead.
Yeah, is this better?
Little bit, sir. You can go ahead.
Yeah. So, the question is that the revenue share for pressure cooker and other appliances is around 50%. So, for EBITDA, is the ratio the same? And a follow-up to that is other appliances business has been a bit subdued as compared to our other sub-segments. So, this year, would it be any better?
So, we have had higher growth rates in the pressure cooker and the non-stick cooker. And we had a normal growth rate in the appliances. Of course, as we add more appliances, the number of appliances itself the contribution will be growing. It's been, but in the terms of contributing margin, for us, we are a cost-plus company, and each of these categories contributed the same percentage. So it really does not matter which segment grows for us.
Okay. And so the second question is that 10% of exports, last call you had mentioned that previously it was more of white labeling, and going forward you would like to expand more. And given how other companies are doing with various appliances to US, do you think that over a period of 3 to 4 years this number would be substantially higher?
Yeah, at the current growth rate, in the 3 to 4 years, the number will be relatively much higher, both in terms of absolute number and in terms of percentage. We believe both it will be higher than what it is today.
And would this be driven by the Pigeon or Gilma, or it could be a mix of everything?
So we don't export the Gilma brand. Currently, we export the Pigeon to wherever the Indian diaspora is. And non-stick cookware to the North American continent, where we work with the retailers, is white label. Of course, there is a strategy in the long term. It's not for the immediate, as the size and scale of business that we are building in the North American market. is substantial enough for us to have a distribution and brand play. We will ideally want to then license a brand and have our own brand and distribution play there.
Sure. And sir, the kitchen sinks, is it manufactured in-house or is it imported currently?
You mean the products that we export?
Yeah, the kitchen sinks part.
100% of that is manufactured in-house. That is our competence, and that's why these large retailers want to buy from us.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Hardik Jain from Whitestone Financial Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for the opportunity and congratulations for a very good set of results. Sir, if I'm correct, we also do some contract manufacturing for the online platform companies here. So when we say that we have 30% sales from the e-commerce, can you break it up for us? How much would it be like contract manufacturing supply and how much would it be our own brand that sells on their platform?
All the sales that we do on the e-commerce platforms are under our brands. We currently have no contract manufacturing for any of these players.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya Kondawar from JC Investments. Please go ahead.
That the theme of unorganized to organized played a part in it. That's my first question. Question number 2 is, what are your thoughts on this theme and some color around it? How do you see the organized sector gaining market share from the unorganized sector? Thank you.
Yeah, you see, we are growing at a much higher rate than the industry. Obviously, we are getting some market share from whichever segment it is. Of course, a lot of businesses in the recent times have moved, are also moving, continuously moving. I think as we go forward, majority of the business in this country will be from the organized players. Obviously, that shift is there. And being the special position that we have for our brand, particularly the brand Pigeon, it's a very attractive positioning where you get high quality products at the right price. So it is not necessarily that we are only getting traction only from the unorganized players. We see that a large portion of that is coming from there, and also I am sure we are also getting a lot of market share from players who are established and the brands that are already established. And that's where you are witnessing, you are able to see that in all the categories that we are currently working, most of the categories we are growing much higher than the organized industry itself.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ronak Vora from AUM Fund Advisors. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. The kind of capacity that we currently have, I guess the gross block is around 230 to 40 odd crores. What kind of top line would be able to generate from this?
You are talking about the capex that we have currently?
No, not the capex of 100 crores that we mentioned earlier. I guess we have a gross block of 230 to 40 odd crores on the balance sheet, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, sir. What kind of revenue can be generated from the current gross block?
Yeah, so the existing proven revenue from the existing capacity, assuming that we have utilized it fully, still will have a 20% gap because we last year had revenues only for 10 months, and at 850 we believe that can get to about 1,200, between 1,000 and 1,200 crores. With the
and with the 100 crores of capex that is planned between FY 21 to 23, more 350, 400 crores can be added, right?
Yeah, within 3 to 4 times it can easily.
So can we say that in the next 3 to 4 years, our top line can double to 1,600 crores from the current 860 crores?
I can only tell you that in the last 5-6 years, we have been growing at about between 15 and 25% on the brand business. We have let go on all our other business. We are only focused on the brand business and the export business. And currently, we are confident of growing at the higher band. So if we grow at that band, then of course we can do our math. I am not able to give you a number.
Okay, sir. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kamlesh Kotak from Asian Market Securities. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Just I missed, if you can share the revenue from each of the three brands, it will be helpful.
82% of our revenues come from the Pigeon brand. 9% is actually from the export business. Of that 9%, I can say 80% is white label. So the rest is between these two brands, Gilma and Black & Decker.
Okay. And would the trend be the same last year, or is it slightly different? FY20 was the trend the same?
Yeah, we are in the similar, but because our increase in the exports, there is some few percentage points increase in exports. Otherwise, it is in the same range.
Okay. Secondly, can you help us understand what will be the total number of SKUs you may be having across categories?
So the company currently has about 600 SKUs.
And how many were there last year, sir, compared to this?
So we do have a process of rationalizing, and what we do is while we keep on introducing new products, it also will let go of those products which forms the tail end of the range. More or less, we are in the same range, but for maybe well, exact number also, if you want, we can share, but it will be very small. The difference will be very small.
Thank you, and sorry to interrupt you. I'll request you to come back in the question queue. I request to all the participants, please restrict to one question per participant. The next question is from the line of Karan Agarwal from Tusk Investment Limited. Please go ahead. Karan Agarwal, may I request you to unmute your line from your side and go ahead with your question?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hello, thank you for taking my question. You guys have produced a great set of numbers. So could you tell, since we are seeing that because of the rise in raw material costs, the company has to take price action on a regular basis. Is that correct? So considering that the prices will continue to rise of these raw materials, do you think the growth of the industry is slowing down?
Yeah, I think this is a consumer, kind of a consumer product, the category that we are in. Though it is not consumable every day, but because of the replacement cycle and the continuous deterioration of the life cycle is very shortening day by day. So it is kind of a consumer product. It is a need based. It is not it is not driven by choice. I think it is driven by need. And if input costs go up and if the overall every offering from every brand is in the same range what it is a need based. I don't think just because price go up the demand comes down. And particularly for the Pigeon brand, we continuously want to offer the best to our consumer at the right price. So we only want the differential of the cost, and it's not that we take any advantage of the price increase. So whenever we have had a price increase, we have not seen a drop in the revenue so far.
Thank you, sir. It answers my question.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Aditya Mehta from GK Capital Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Though all my question has been answered, just one question from the customer point of view. So how are we looking at expanding our service network? As I was just checking your website, there are no separate options to check the availability of service centers or even for the contacting your customer care representative, the numbers mentioned are not even working. So in order to grow our kitchen appliances segment, we will have to ensure that customer service centers are available throughout the country. So how are we looking at that?
We have service executives both on our road and through franchisee network across the country. We have a toll-free number which actually caters to this requirement. Currently, you would have had witnessed some problems because this is operated by an independent call center, and because of the lockdown situation, there is a restriction of them being operated. So, but we are also working on while you have brought it out, we are also working out on a map where on the website you will be able to get the local number apart from the what you call common number that we have for the whole country. For all those regional operators, they can have also will have a direct number that will be there on our website very soon. The regional service technicians numbers, service franchisee numbers will also be there. We are already working on that.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Yep.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Priyank Chheda from Standard Chartered Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. I just want to know, sir, what was the utilization levels in Q4 and in last quarter, if you can help me with that.
Utilization of the manufacturing facility?
Yes.
Yeah, so I tell you, the capacities are always built for the peak, and the second and the third quarters are the larger quarters. As I would have already mentioned, these 2 quarters contribute to 60%, and obviously in the first and last quarter we'll have relatively lower utilization. But we also take this opportunity to also, whatever maintenance and upgradation that we do it in either the first quarter or the last quarter. But again, because we have different product segments and different manufacturing lines, some of those lines also are skewed, and some of the lines are catering to export. And we also see that particularly in the last quarter or the first quarter, we have a higher skew. We utilize these facilities for more of export. I can say if you want to get a number on the overall, it is generally we are able to use maximum of 80% in the first quarter, and somehow we are able to squeeze in and do some additional shifts in the second and third quarter to get to that 60-40 ratio.
So, sir, that's on the total capacity of 41 million units, right? With considering both the plants.
Yeah. The larger facility is in Bangalore. We also, of course, have the Himachal facility. And to improve our regional mix, we are now focusing on our inner lid pressure cooker, which are actually sold in the north, east, and more in the north and the east. So it's completely dedicated to make our inner lid pressure cooker.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraint, that will be the last question for today. I'll now hand the conference over to Mr. Rajendra Gandhi for closing comments.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope we have been able to answer all your queries. We look forward to such interactions in the future. Once again, I would like to thank each one of you and all the investor community for the tremendous support shown during our IPO. We hope to live up to the expectations of you all in the future. In case you require any further details, you may please contact us or Orient Capital, our investor relations partner. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Storecraft Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.